what some of the basketball community would call the two best pure hoopers in the history of the game. Both having absolutely insane hype coming into the league, showed off what they could do at a grown man's level, won over the hearts of all of our youth, and had mass off-court clout. These two extremely influential gentlemen were absolute magicians with the ball, getting crafty at the rim, having all the creativity in the world while getting there by using the string they got on the ball. So what other kind of similarities do we find between these two? Differences? Let's go ahead and find out by looking at their peak influential years. But before we do that, did you guys hear about that one YouTube channel, Dash and Hoop? Yeah, they reached 100 subscribers. Honestly, thank you guys so much. You know, whether you're family, a friend, a coworker, a random fellow YouTube fan, thank you so much for supporting my journey on my little goofy YouTube channel. It means more than you guys could ever imagine. And for the 100 subscriber special, I will do a mini Q&A for the beginning of the next episode. So comment below asking me, basketball questions, life questions, whatever you want to know about Dash. I would be doing all this while I juggle random assortments of fruit, since my basketball coach made me learn how to juggle freshman year, and to this day, he never tested us on it. So I'm gonna go ahead and get in my bag, use something that I got in my little skill toolbox. But again, thank you guys tons. Next goal is that 500, so let's see what we can do, guys. All right, Kyrie and AI comparison, let's go. Also known as the answer, Allen Iverson was a transcendent multi-sport athlete coming out of Bethel High School. Now, I'm sure most of you watching have seen the popular documentaries on the man before, so I won't go crazy in depth on the high school phenom he was, but good grief. Even if you aren't a football guy, you're doing yourself a disservice not watching those highlights, where he played wide receiver, safety, defensive back, kick returner, punt returner, and oh yeah, quarterback, where he was actually one spot ranked ahead of Hall of Famer Peyton Manning coming out of high school. Anyway, this dude was pretty damn good at basketball too, earning himself the mass attention from scouts and fans alike, who were enamored by averages like 31.6 points per game, 8.7 rebounds, and 9.2 assists in his time in high school. With such phenomenal athletic ability, Iverson was so damn good that he had strong ambitions of playing both sports in college, and actually was on his path to doing so, until a certain situation that affected him at 17 deterred him from doing so, and instead ended up playing basketball at Georgetown University, dominating the college competition for 2 seasons. The 6-foot-flat shifty guard came in right away to dominate. The confident Iverson blew by the competition as a freshman, leading Georgetown to the Sweet 16 with per-game averages consisting of 20.5 points, 4.5 assists, and a casual 3 steals a game. Now, the answer wasn't content with heading straight to the league yet, as he wanted to prove a little more to himself. He could reach another level with the Bulldogs. And he did. He reached another level, bringing Georgetown to the Elite 8, jumping up in all of his statistical categories with new averages of 25 points, almost 5 assists, 3.5 steals, and increased his field goal percentage from 38% to 48% over the course of a single season. With his incredible knack to mesmerize the defense with his smooth handle and sneaky athletic finishing, this was all enough to make him the consensus #1 overall draft pick in the 1997 NBA draft. But this sounds all too familiar, right? Talking about a guy making the competition look like a joke in high school, went to a historic basketball university, and convinced everyone he was the #1 overall pick through his handles and finishing ability. Kyrie Irving fell into the same type of path, as I can distinctly still remember all his life becoming more and more of a household name, all because of Kyrie's sensational 2010 highlight reel. Find me one guard who grew up in the AAU circuit at that time that didn't want to hit the Kyrie cross spin move. You can't. Wild guess, but the fact that he averaged 26.5 points, 10.3 assists, 4.8 rebounds, and 3.6 steals per game might have correlated with the reality that Kyrie could go to any university he liked. The kid from New Jersey chose to be a Blue Devil, and he killed it in all the games that he played. Uncle Drew had a toe injury that kept him out for the rest of the season after only playing 11 games. That's right. That means that this man was so damn dominant that in 11 games, teams were still willing to risk grabbing him at the #1 pick. And it's understandable. I mean, with the highly efficient average of 17.5 points, 4.3 assists, 3.5 rebounds, and 1.5 steals on 52.9% from the field, 46.2 from the three-point line, and 90% free throw shooting gives him a berserk 69.7 true shooting percentage. Seeing how the hype between the two was more than real coming into the league, we should examine how these two guys did their first couple years in the NBA prior to their mass success. We see AI came into the league with all the confidence in the world. I mean, hell, he sized up Michael Jeffrey Jordan and left him looking silly as a 21-year-old. Before Iverson got the help of a 4-time Defensive Player of the Year, Dikembe Mutombo, Iverson and Eric Snow had to carry the load for the Philadelphia 76ers. Before their championship appearance in the 2000-2001 NBA season, this 76ers squad had made it to the Eastern Conference semis twice, losing both times to Reggie Miller and the deep Indiana Pacers. With AI putting up averages of approximately 25 points, 6 assists, 4 rebounds, and 2.2 steals up until his moment in the big stage, it was clear the Sixers organization had to help our boy out somehow. And they did. As previously mentioned, this would be the acquisition of Dikembe Mutombo for his first and only season with the 76ers. But before we look at the great playoff run, let's fast forward to June 23rd, 2011. With all eyes on the guy who missed the whole second half plus of his collegiate season, Kyrie Irving did not disappoint. Earning himself 2 All-Star appearances in the first 3 years in comparison to Iverson's 0, the expectations were growing exponentially. Storming into the league his first 3 years with graceful averages of 20.5 points, about 6 assists, 3.7 rebounds, and 1.3 steals. Now, especially in comparison to Allen Iverson, you might be wondering, how the hell did Kyrie get more All-Star nods than AI? And it's because Uncle Drew's efficiency was unmatched. 45% from the field, 38% from 3, and 86.3% from the free throw line. So this is where I think one of the biggest questions is already posed to us when comparing Kyrie Irving and Allen Iverson. How much do you value efficiency? Because while Iverson dominates Kyrie in about every counting stat in their first couple years, he's ahead of AI in field goal percentage by 2.25%, three-point percentage by 6.2%, and free throw percentage by a whopping 13.9%. Now you might be wondering yourself, Dash, how many times did, Kyrie take his team to the playoffs before he got real help? Now this poses another question that's crucial in comparing the two. Do you want a guy that's a clear-cut number one, a dude that you can raise your floor, whatever talent you got around him? Or do you want an uber-efficient, uber-clutch number 2? Okay, let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. Let's examine their deep playoff runs. With the answer having the experiences of heartbreak against the Pacers 2 times in a row, may I add, he got that hatred for losing that all the greats need to excel at the highest level. The concoction of a first-time MVP year from Allen Iverson and a Defensive Player of the Year performance from Mutombo. This was the year for the Sixers to finally make their push. Coming into the season, pissed off, AI decided to take matters into his own hands even more, cranking up his shot attempts to 25.5 a game, and Philly honestly needed him to. This masterclass of a season from AI saw him winning the scoring title, averaging 31.1 points per game, along with what he calls just playing the passing lane, with a mind-boggling 2.5 steals per game. With the 76ers finally meshing together, it seems Coach Larry Brown had now built his team perfectly around AI, as the squad ended up ranking 5th in defensive rating, earning themselves the number 1 seed in the East. Heading into the playoffs, there was no more excuses for the 25-year-old Iverson, as the pressure was on straight out the gate with the matchup between the 76ers and the dreaded Indiana Pacers. Iverson injected confidence in all of the Philly fans as he finally got the monkey off his back, running through Indiana 3-1. The East wasn't some pushover at the time though, because unfortunately for AI, he and his squad had to fight and claw their way back-to-back Game 7s versus Vince Carter's Toronto Raptors and a deep Milwaukee Bucks team. Now it's a damn shame that this Philly squad couldn't handle business earlier with these teams, because they came in having played 7 extra games than the 0-1 Los Angeles Lakers. The one team that had those guys, Shaq and Kobe, I think their names were. But Iverson was fearless of this fact, as he put on a historic Game 1 against this legendary team, putting up 48 points, 6 assists, 5 rebounds, and a bananas 5 steals in an overtime win. With his historic step over on Tyronn Lue that had been talking shit all game, AI had made his mark for youngins all over the world. The sad reality of the situation, though, is that after this huge W for the 0-1 Sixers, this team had simply ran out of gas, getting reverse swept against arguably the greatest duo of all time. While putting up a valiant effort, Iverson unknowingly had played his last final games of his career. Brighten the mood spotlight back on Kyrie. The public eye was watching to see what kind of direction this Cavaliers team wanted to take after 3 straight seasons of being well below 500. And a move was made, as LeBron James famously came back home to play with Kyrie Irving in the addition of Kevin Love. Now, right off the bat, going back to our comparison, I would personally have to say Kyrie had exceptionally more help starting off his run in the playoffs than Iverson did. As we keep this in mind, Kyrie throughout his first regular season run with LeBron has shown us glimpses of what he would look like as a first option with decent help. And I'm referring to, those load management games that LeBron would have, that Kyrie would step up and be the first option. Kyrie was putting up his casual 21, 5, and 3, but increased his already efficient game by boosting his field goal percentage up to 46.8% and his three-point percentage to 41.5. Now, this 2015 run looked like they had it in the bag, blasting through the weaker Eastern Conference, even with the shoulder injury of Kevin Love in the first round and matching up with the Golden State Warriors, as we know by now what will be a common occurrence. The thing is, though, that Kyrie had fractured his kneecap in overtime of Game 1 in this series, completely shattering the hopes of Cavaliers fans with Golden State winning in 6 games. This revenge/rehab tour for the 2015-2016 season was on for Kyrie. Cutting down games played by 22, Uncle Drew was attempting to get back to his normal speed, naturally knocking down his counting stats, something he truly couldn't control. Fast forward to the 2016 playoffs, and we see a Cavs team that finished first in the East with a relatively easy road to the finals, or at least what they made look easy, using the aggression they had built up from last year's finals loss. The Warriors seemed as if they were on another level that the Cavs had yet to see before, as they went down 3-1 to the first ever unanimous MVP. As we all know up to this point, the 3-1 comeback, yada yada, coolest thing ever. We must not forget that Kyrie Irving was spazzing out, getting buckets on this comeback. And if there were any doubts if Kyrie could get back to his natural form, he shut that shit up, averaging 30 points in his last 3 comeback games and hitting potentially the craziest shot of all time in a finals game. Kyrie had got his first and only ring at the age of 23 years old. So with both of these guys winning the hearts of fans with their on-court performances, like insane early success, having marquee playoff shots, crispy handles, creative finishes around the rim, etc., etc., what about their off-court impact? AI was a revolutionary, as he normalized things that we as NBA fans in 2023 take for granted, such as players having tattoos, cornrows, integrating hip-hop culture. Iverson had the young athletes so interested in him that he had a commercial of where he does his patented crossover combo that kids will record on a VHS tape so that they could study how he made the move. Maybe most importantly, though, Iverson showed that you can be a smaller guard and that toughness and confidence will get you to where you want to be in the basketball world. Now, Kyrie's influence. If you were around the AAU basketball environment from 2014 to 2020, you knew that everybody and their mama had on the Kyries. Whether it be the SpongeBob joints with Patrick, Sandy, Mr. Krabs variations, the cereal edition with the little Lucky Charms and Cinnamon Toast Crunch he offered, he had the hearts of the youth. And he also was so creative around the rim that he popularized the jelly in basketball, being able to twist and turn his body in every which way around the rim and still find a way to put the ball in the basket. I mean, shoot, Kyrie had kids like me putting basketballs in grocery bags and doing workouts like that to get my handles up. But I come back to our comparison, and I guess it comes down to what you value most as an NBA fan. Do you want to see the shot chucker who is a great fearless leader and that is beloved by his peers, or are you taking potentially one of the greatest NBA sidekicks of all time? Do you value forcing turnovers more than marksmanship type efficiency? Would you rather the smaller guy who doesn't get hurt as much, or the taller player that's a little more fragile? How much does influence play a role in your favorite player? I don't have an answer for these questions, as basketball is such a beautifully complex sport. I think these questions, they have to be answered on a person-by-person basis. But what do you think? Is there a clear-cut answer in your mind? Am I being silly? Who are you personally influenced by the most, Kyrie or AI? Let me know down in the comments below. Make sure to hit that like button if you enjoyed the video and subscribe for more content like this. And as always, y'all have a phenomenal rest of your day.